Over the past few weeks, I've faced the challenge of a lifetime, finding new homes for 6 sets of British house hunters moving down under.
It's just awesome.
From Sydney to Adelaide, Melbourne to the Gold Coast. It's been tough.
It needs to be probably twice the size.
It's been dramatic.
I'm going to call it in your favour, sir.
Just gone up by $20,000.
But it's all been worth it.
Congratulations, we have a deal. Hey!
I'm no newbie to Australia, and 2 years ago I helped 4 families who left Britain behind for an Aussie adventure of their own. So now I'm back to find out how my first set of recruits have been getting on, starting with the George family from Basingstoke. I've come to the hills just outside Melbourne to find out if the realities of living in the bush have lived up to Cam and Adam's dreams. And if you thought it was going to be perfect, you're in for a shock.
I think the whole transition is actually is really difficult on a relationship.
I'll discover how their move came close to disaster.
Those bushfires were just horrific.
And that's before we even get to the bugs.
There were heaps and heaps of redbacks.
You don't get those in Basingstoke. Since I first came down under 20 years ago, I've been captivated by Australia. I even married an Aussie of my own. Fiona comes from one of my most favourite cities in the world, Melbourne. And I'm not the only one to fall head over heels for this great place. 2 years ago, Adam and Cam from Basingstoke had also fallen for its charms and had called me in to help them find a home.
I love Melbourne. I think it's a great city and it's a very laid-back place. People are really friendly and, you know, great opportunities for the kids to grow up here and have a great outdoor life.
Although they haven't been here long, Adam and Cam have already decided on their dream property patch. The hills just outside the city, where national parks dominate, wildlife comes to visit, and the beaches and city life are only an hour away. But it's not just about making the most of the countryside. It's about making Melbourne home.
I'd really like that for the children, to have a house that they grow up in and spend a significant amount of their childhood in.
Ideally, it would be a 2-storey or a split-level house with a view would be just fantastic. That would be not asking for a lot, but that would be fantastic.
I'm going to have to draw a clever line between rural views and total isolation, as Adam's new job does involve overnight trips, leaving Cam and the girls alone. The house should be 2-storey with 4 bedrooms, separate adult and kids living areas and a large enclosed garden. For this, Adam and Cam have a maximum budget of £223,000, which over here can buy you a view like this one. What it can't always buy you is a 2-storey house. The Melbournians enjoy their bungalows. Sadly, Adam and Cam don't. It's never easy, is it? We're looking for something within driving distance of Cam's work in the suburb of Ferntree Gully. So I'm concentrating the search on the semi-rural stretch of bush between the Dandenong Ranges and the Cardinia Reserve. But getting Adam and Cam their perfect pad in the fantasy location is going to be tough. While average house prices in Melbourne have dropped by nearly 10% in the last year, houses in this particular area have retained their value. A world away from busy Basingstoke, it's going to be a massive change of lifestyle for the whole family. I just hope they're ready for it. So I'm starting with something safe but stunning. Emerald is a great family location. 30 minutes from Cam's work, it has all the shops, cafes and schools the Georges need, plus its very own lake park, complete with boating pond, nature trails and steam train. And the house is right next door. Even I'm excited to be here.
So very peacefully here on the edge of the park, but we are only 15 minutes walk into Emerald Town, so you've got your cafes and your restaurants and that sort of thing, and you've got the biggest playground you could ever wish for.
You have.
Right on the doorstep.
I just absolutely gobsmacked. I am.
It's so peaceful, it's beautiful.
But we're not just here for the location. The house is right on target. 4 bedrooms, a large kitchen diner, massive living room and a separate kids' playroom, all on half an acre of land for £205,000. I wouldn't find many of those in Blighty. Almost $20,000 under budget. My only worry is the single-storey layout, which is something many Brits try to avoid.
Come and see what you think. I know you guys originally had hope for something over 2 stories. I hope you all appreciate that most of these Australian houses are over 1 story.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think, Pam?
I'm taking it in.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's lots I like.
Anything
I
you
like,
don't
I like this place.
In terms of the way that you live, your living and your sort of TV is all up that end,
Yep.
and the master suite, and then cooking, eating, and 2 excellent child's bedrooms and a bathroom.
Great.
The purpose of showing you this is really because of the location.
Yeah.
And I know you said to me, it's got to be over 2 stories, but you haven't seen round it all, but how am I doing on a 1 story in this location?
Yeah, that's probably as good as it gets, really.
Oh, yeah, the location is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It really is.
I can't believe. Okay, you have a look in the child's bedrooms.
All right.
It's obviously great they're cock-a-hoop, but this is the first and only Aussie house Adam and Cam have viewed, so they've got to think practically too.
There's lots of scope.
You're kind of in your own little peaceful environment here.
It is. No, you're right. It's very, very peaceful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, the house is good. I think a lot of it's going to be down to price. You know, in terms of kind of trying to benchmark, because you can see that it does need some work, and I guess.
How much work and what's it going to cost?
Yeah.
Well, the price is a guide price of between 460 and 495,000. That's what they're looking for.
Okay.
So, does that leave any work? Leave any room?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would leave some room.
$460,000 is roughly £205,000. I'm not surprised Cam's excited. I'd be looking at 3-bed terraces for that in Basingstoke.
Well, she really liked that. Hope I haven't peaked too early. It's not always a good thing. So the wife tells me.
Coming up, it's prop planes and arm pains in the outback.
Well, that was about the biggest needle I think I've ever seen going to someone.
And I discover I wasn't the first one in my family to lend a helping hand down under.
I've been reliably informed you know something about a Dr. John Peck, who is my grandfather.
He actually saved Jeffrey's life.
Really?
And Adam and Cam are in for one huge reality check.
Are you okay?
2 years ago, Adam and Cam George ditched the burbs of Basingstoke for a new life down under and called on me to help find their dream home.
I'm just absolutely gobsmacked. I am.
But I wasn't just going round the houses. While I was here, I tried my hand at some of the more unusual jobs Australia could offer you. One of my favourites was shadowing a doctor from Norfolk who'd swap the Broads for the Billabongs. Australia's facing an extreme shortage of medical staff. In fact, they make up more than 1/3 of the occupations on the Immigration Department's most wanted list. From dentists to dermatologists, midwives, nurses and surgeons, there are 74 medical professions in demand. The situation is particularly severe in rural areas. So what can a country practice offer you? Today, I'm going behind the scenes with Australia's most iconic medical occupation. How do you get to work in the morning? In a car fighting busy traffic? On a tube or a bus, nose in a stranger's armpit? Do you fancy commuting on one of these? I'm shadowing Flying Doctor Elaine Powell in the most remote location I've ever been to see how medicine works and what it's like to live in the outback. Elaine used to be a GP in Norwich in the east of England, but 13 months ago she quit to move to Australia and pursue her dream of becoming a flying doctor.
It's just the variety. I don't think you can do it anywhere else, really.
I can't say I blame her. As commutes go, this one's a blinder.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Elaine works for the southeastern section of the Royal Flying Doctor Service in Broken Hill, an isolated mining town deep, deep in the outback of New South Wales. From this base, 8 doctors, 6 nurses and 1 dentist cover an area that stretches all the way from southwest Queensland through far west New South Wales and over to the top of South Australia.
It's approximately 640,000 square kilometres.
That's massive.
That's more than twice the size of the UK. Today, Elaine and I are flying to a once-monthly clinic in Wairarira. Held in a small tin shed on a completely isolated sheep farm, it's almost 75 miles from the nearest shop, 25 miles from its next-door neighbour, and the patients in the area serviced by this clinic can drive for up to 2 hours to attend it. Out here, the bush is as hostile as it is beautiful. Dry and desert-like, temperatures can sit at over 45 degrees for days. This is no green and pleasant land, so I want to know what life's like for the 500,000 Australians who live like this, and what attracted Elaine to such an isolated place.
Had you had enough of National Health Service work or working as a GP?
Yeah, I think I got fed up with how fast you had to put through the patients, so 10-minute appointments, everything very structured. You kind of lost sight of what you're actually really doing as a doctor, to be honest.
You probably couldn't have found a more different extreme to your work in Britain.
No, I mean, you've got no idea. People phone in and obviously you can get emergency stuff turning up because if they know that you're here and something happens or something comes up, then they'll come and see you. So, yeah, you're pretty in the dark about what's going to come in.
The flying doctors treat more than 250,000 patients a year and are best known for their emergency retrievals, a sort of flying intensive care unit which covers 80% of the country. But they also deal with everything from snake bites to sun damage, fevers to farming accidents. And today, Elaine's letting me scrub in on one of her surgeries. I've no idea what's in store.
What am I going to be helping you with? What's happening today?
I'm getting an implant on for contraceptive.
Okay. Nice.
Well, I didn't see that one coming.
Where does the implant go?
Under the skin on the inside of the arm.
I was a bit nervous there.
Nothing to.
I wouldn't let you in here if that was...
I'm glad she's laughing. The flying doctors do nearly 11,000 emergency retrievals a year, and look what I end up with. A vial of anaesthetic. This is going to be a piece of cake.
And then just tip up. So
that
tip,
way?
yeah, upwards, that's it. So yeah, tip the end up for me.
Up, that way?
Other way.
That down?
So the front bit is down. So just tip it that way down.
That way?
Yeah, just so that's it, that should be enough.
Okay.
I don't think Elaine will be asking me back. Maybe my bedside manner will make up for my spectacular lack of coordination.
What we're doing is putting a needle in, which has the implant inside it. So as we put it in, we pull the needle back out over the implant, leaving the implant in.
It's times like these I'm very happy to have been born a bloke.
Okay there.
I think you're very brave.
Oh, I've got very sweaty palms.
Okay.
Well, that was about the biggest needle I think I've ever seen going to someone.
So do you think you'd be able to go through that, Phil?
What, to have it done or to do it?
Either way, really.
Contraceptive for 3 years, I think that's a superb result.
Of course, it's not just medical care that's hard to come by out here in the bush. There's no popping out for a pint of milk in these parts. The postie delivers your shopping twice a week, and there's no refuse collection. You incinerate your own.
Clearly, you're all pretty isolated out here, but, I mean, is there a local shop? Where do you go to get your milk or your bread and things?
50 k's away from me.
If you want a drink, how far is it to the local pub?
It'd take me an hour to drive in to get a pot of beer, so it's a fair drive. So you want to have enough when you get there to drive home.
And what about schools and things?
Homeschooling, School of the Air. So it's done over the internet.
Yep.
I have an air lesson in the mornings, and then you have a supervisor, whether it's the mother or a governess, who teaches them for the rest of the day.
So, if you want to see a doctor, they have to fly in. If you want a pint of beer, it's a 2-hour round trip. If you want a pint of milk, it's a 3-hour round trip. So you really have to be very self-sustaining.
Yeah.
It's certainly tough out here. Just like our own air ambulance service in Britain, the Royal Flying Doctors Service is a charity. These guys take it all in their stride, and the days left me absolutely gobsmacked. If you can face the turbulence and fancy taking your stethoscope down under to become one of the Broken Hill GPs, they earn an average salary, including benefits, of just over £131,000. It's never going to be boring out here.
I had a great time. I don't know if I was any help, was I?
Oh, maybe a little bit.
That'll be a no then. For information about all the medical jobs in demand down under and anything else you want to know about working in Australia, log on to our website at channel4.com/4homes. Back to my search in the hills outside Melbourne. Adam and Cam George hadn't even started looking at houses before I came along, so they had no idea what their money could buy them in the area. They were blown away by the first house I showed them, but while the location was perfect, it didn't tick all of their practical boxes. So I'm on a mission to up the Antipodean ante with an even better second house. This detached family home is 15 minutes closer to Cam's work than the last one, and it's situated in yet another stunning setting, the foot of the Dandenong Ranges National Park in the tiny village of Selby. It's got the 2 stories Adam and Cam say they want, with a master, ensuite and 2 kids' bedrooms upstairs, plus a 4th bedroom and study on the ground floor.
Another beautiful setting.
With a guide price of offers over £190,000, it's much bigger than the last house we saw, and there still could be 30 grand left in the budget to turn it into a spectacular home.
Come and see what you think. We've got a big open plan area down here, 5 bedrooms altogether, 2 of which are downstairs, 3 of which are upstairs. So I have found the 2 stories that we talked about.
OK.
And a pretty spacious ground floor, I think. How about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it's fair to say there's been a fair amount of DIY gone on here.
Yeah.
Try not to look at the ceiling. So there'd be a bit of money to be spent. You are looking at the ceiling, aren't you?
Don't look at the elephant in the room. Yeah, you do.
As you can see in the kitchen where the ceiling's been painted, it looks very different.
Sorry.
What's going through your mind?
It's just it's just different. Different's a word.
I can see why Adam and Cam would rather be supping wine on the balcony than grouting tiles in the bathroom. But this house does tick most of their boxes, and its potential is immense. Surely it's not that funny.
What's going through your mind? Because when you came in, there was a sort of stunned silence and a lot of amusement in your eyes.
Yeah, I think that would be a fair summation of it. Really, it's,
I think you'd have to do. I mean, you're right. A lot of the work you need to do is superficial, but I think there would be a lot of it, wouldn't there?
Yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah, and
too much.
Well, part of me wouldn't know where to start.
Is it worth you taking on the work? Gut feel.
Gut feel now.
Yeah, gut feel no for me too. I'll be honest.
You're relieved I said no. Yeah.
Well, that was not good. There is one conclusion, and that is that DIY is out.
So onwards with the search for something with walk-in wow. And this next one has wow on the inside, wow on the outside, and wow all around it. Belgrave is a super quaint village at the other end of the steam railway line from the first house we saw in Emerald. And this one is a belter. A huge, sprawling 4-bedroom north facer with wraparound balcony, it overlooks a whole acre of wild garden and national park views that stretch for miles. The large, light kitchen, diner and living room really make the most of the setting, and layout-wise, the split levels are a practical nod to the British way of living. Not surprising, then, that the current owner's one of us.
I know, look at that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I think it's pretty special. Come inside.
Well, it's certainly a world away from Basingstoke, but there's a catch. In order to achieve the setting and space, we've had to move to a more isolated location, and at offers strictly over £231,000, this house is £8,000 over their maximum budget. There's as much room for a deal to be done in Oz as there is back in the UK, but I'm told this owner won't budge. Can't say I blame him, but I'd love to give it a try anyway. Come on in. We've got a lot to look round in here.
Okay.
I'm going to start you off in the living room.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
It is. It's huge. It's got views. It's beautifully finished. It's got it all going on. So in order to show you something which is as big as this, that is in good condition, I've had to stretch the budget. So that's the rub.
Yeah.
It's possible, but it's going to stretch things. Is it still workable?
I like it.
I do too.
There's no denying this is an amazing property, but I do want Cam to think hard about whether she's really ready for this kind of seclusion. Have you seriously thought about the fact that Adam's going to be away some of the time with this new job?
Yeah, yeah.
This is relatively secluded, right in a forest.
Yeah, I don't know. I just...
Or does it depend on the house?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to see something that would tick the boxes. And so it isn't about Adam being away, but it's about the fact that this could be it.
Well, that's good.
And it's good. It's good, but
there's a lot riding on this.
Yeah.
It was a big move, big choice to come over to Australia. And now you want to get it sorted, you want to put some roots down and get it right. How does Adam deal with viewings?
I think he's very level-headed, and I think he'll like this, but I think fortunately, I suppose, for us as a couple, he'll be the one that kind of grounds me, and yeah, so it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reality of moving is really starting to hit home now. I hope Adam's as level-headed as she says he is. What do you reckon to it then, Adam?
I think it's fantastic. I love it.
Pretty decent spot.
It's beautiful. Really lovely.
There's a lot riding on this, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, and that realisation is kind of sinking in.
Yeah. Particularly, I think, for Cam. She is actually quite emotional in there, thinking, my God, this is a bit special.
I can imagine. Cam's much more kind of level-headed and realistic about these things than I am.
It's funny, because she said it the other way around.
No, I don't believe that.
She did.
Serious?
Well, she said she did have quite an emotional reaction, and she said that I mustn't worry because you would be level-headed about it and you'd bring her back down to earth. Looks like I'm going to have to be level-headed enough for both of them.
You reckon?
Oh, I mean, I think it's fantastic. It's lovely. It's whether we can afford it.
I really like it.
I thought you would.
I really like it.
Yeah. Big decision.
Do you know what? I'm sitting here thinking that for £231,000 you get all this. And you struggle to get a one-bedroom flat anywhere decent in London for that kind of money. No wonder she's crying. I think I might. Coming up, when Adam and Cam go down to the woods, they're in for a big surprise.
So this is the last house?
Look.
Yeah, that's it.
I go walkabout, uncovering some Aussie roots of my own. Yeah, what do people think of him?
Oh,
Not just as a doctor, but as a guy.
They loved him as a person.
And I find out just how unpredictable Mother Nature can be.
No, it's something that you've absolutely got to respect. There's no doubt about that.
I'm back down under where 2 years ago I helped Adam and Cam George make Australia their home.
I like it.
I do too.
But they weren't the only ones to want a piece of paradise in the land down under. And while I was here, I retraced my own family tree to the rainforests of Queensland. This is me with my late grandfather, Dr. John Saville Peck, when I visited him in Sydney in 1989. One of only a handful of times I ever met him, and I think you'll agree 20 years hasn't changed me a bit. I'm the one on the left. In 1959, he separated from my gran, left the family home in Kent, and eloped to Australia with his receptionist. He ended up here on Tambourine Mountain in Queensland, and it's always kind of had this mythical place in my life. I've always known that Grandpa lived up this beautiful mountain somewhere in Australia, but I've never known why. When I was growing up, he was always the exciting granddad who lived in a place that sounded so fantastic, but was so distant. He spent his final days in a nursing home in Sydney, but Tambourine Mountain was the place he really called home. Hearing about it was the start of my fascination and love affair with Australia. Today, I've travelled to the mountain for the first time to have a bit of a history lesson about my Gramps and the place where he lived and worked for 13 years, the place that seemed to have such a hold on him. An hour south of Brisbane, Tambourine is only 40 minutes from the bars and beaches of the Gold Coast. But I can see why anyone would fall for it. It feels like an entirely different world up here. I've talked to my family and been told that a good place to start my research is with long-time local Jeff Baldwin. I'm curious as to how he's connected. I've been reliably informed you know something about a Dr. John Peck, who is my grandfather, who I'm trying to learn a bit more about.
Well, yeah, we do. He actually saved Jeffrey's life.
Really?
I had this dreadful flu. I went to Dr. Peck. He was doing some tests and he asked me, was I walking, could I run, and all this sort of stuff, and said, well, you should be not doing that because you've got a serious heart problem. And he arranged for me to go to the hospital in Brisbane where there was...
What, there and then?
Next day.
So had it not been picked up, or you just dealt with the flu, you've been to the chemist and taken something for the flu, then
Yep.
We might not be stood here.
No.
Tell me, what was he like as a doctor?
I just think he was a real gentleman, and he cared about his patients because, you know, when I woke up in intensive care, the first person I saw was Dr. Peck. Yeah, he had a great reputation up here for being a caring person.
Good. Sounds like my granddad was a bit of a hero. I've always known that he loved living here on Tambourine Mountain, and from the people I've met, it seems he's left his mark even today in the community. Hello, Phil. I'm Phil, Dr. Peck's grandson.
Yes, you are.
Hi,
yes.
how do you do?
You've got to be John.
I have
grandson.
indeed.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet all of you. I'm also not surprised this place left its mark on him. It's absolutely stunning. I want to find out a bit more about the community that embraced him, and what better way for me to get to grips with the place than through property. My grandpa wasn't the only Brit to settle on the mountain. Estate agent Barbara Laws came to the area at the same time. She lived next door and became one of his best friends. As an authority on property in the area, Barbara's offered to take me on a guided tour and show me the sort of houses the mountain has to offer.
I wanted you to see this house because this is one of the old houses on the mountain.
Yeah.
And actually it's a pretty special house, this house, because this is your grandfather's old house.
Is it really?
It is.
I seem to remember him saying that he came up here on holiday and parked the car and thought, what a beautiful spot, and looked out of the car window and saw that the house was called Kent Cottage.
Yeah.
And it was for sale.
Yeah,
and he bought it.
Yeah.
Is that...
That is definitely the story.
Can I have a look around?
Yeah. Mm. Well, every Christmas Eve, for example, they always had a great big party in here and every man and his dog came.
Yeah.
And don't forget, there weren't that many people here then.
Yeah. The property you own, the friends you have, and the area you choose to call home can be such a reflection of a person. Being here, I really feel like I'm getting to know Dr. Peck as a man, not just my granddad. Yeah, what do people think of him?
Oh,
not just as a doctor, but as a guy.
They loved him as a person. Everyone loved him. I mean, I don't think that... Johnny's one of those rare people. I don't think... If you went all over the mountain and anyone met him, you could never find anyone that say anything against him.
Well, what a lovely lady. And I've learnt a huge amount. Terrific to come and see where he lived. Clearly very happy here. I've been dreaming of visiting Tambourine Mountain for so long, and I was worried it wouldn't live up to my expectations. But being here, I can completely understand why the community, the wildlife and the scenery wouldn't let my granddad go. I scarcely want to leave myself. If you want to research your family roots in Oz, there are plenty of great resources at your fingertips. One of the best places to start tracing a name is through the Australian telephone directories, which are all available online. You can also access immigration records through the National Archives of Australia. Another place to look is the Registrar of Births, Deaths and Marriages for each region. You never know, you might find a long-lost rally down under. For links to all this information and more, log on to our website at channel4.com/forhome. Back to my modern-day migrants, and I'm helping Adam and Cam search for their dream home so they can settle down under just like my grandfather did. The budget buster in Belgrave brought tears of joy.
I didn't expect to see something that would tick the boxes.
But if the sums don't pan out, they'll need a fallback plan. Luckily, I'm a man with a plan, and a ruddy good one at that. We're back to the Dandenong Ranges National Park in Sherbrooke Forest. Yep, that's right, in the forest. 10 minutes from the shops and schools in Belgrave, this house is a proper back-to-nature experience. Made with rammed earth and built into the ground by its current owner, with no boundary between the garden and the forest, it's the very definition of putting down Australian roots. This is the Sherbrooke Forest, and there's no boundaries to this.
So this is the last house?
Look.
Yeah, that's it.
The house is the biggest one we've seen, and it has the 2 stories they originally wanted. What's more, it definitely won't stretch the budget. On the market at over £220,000, there's 1 floor of immediately usable living space upstairs and a whole other floor to develop in years to come. Now, it's got kind of a European mountain feel to it.
It's very, yeah, it
Big
is.
vaulted ceiling, a lot of wood going on. What I think is ample bedroom space for you lot on this floor, with a master bedroom there, utility, massive family bathroom, and 2 other bedrooms here. Down here, you've got another 4 bedrooms. 1, 2, another family bathroom. This and the master bedroom through there. And I think there's real potential to do something quite special. So you step out of what could be your master bedroom out to this.
Yep.
You still look a bit puzzled, Cam.
I didn't expect anything this size.
It's enormous.
And I guess my mind's just working in terms of how you could reconfigure the rooms and who'd go where. And, yeah, lots of different options that I didn't expect out of this one.
It gives flexibility, which is nice to have. It's good they can see the potential in this place, but I'm just not convinced their hearts are in it.
What do you think?
I think this is a really, really interesting place.
I'm starting to feel like, you know, we say rural, right?
Yeah.
And this is rural.
Mm-hmm. You're thinking not quite as rural as this, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I don't want to be end of the line.
And I can't get beyond that other house. Can you?
No. Are you making a decision?
They just seem very bewildered at the moment. And I'm not too sure why. It's a massive place. Usually that's a good thing, but somehow I'm not convinced here. I've no idea which way it's going to go. So, you've got your heads around it?
Yeah.
Just about.
Yeah.
Just about.
I like the rural setting, but I guess I don't know if it would feel a little bit too isolated, just kind of being just at that end.
Well, do I presume that we make a full family trip back to the other one?
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Job done. Come on. So we're heading back to the Budget Buster for a second look. If they do decide to go for it, I'll certainly need my wits about me, because the agents are asking for offers over £231,000, which is already £8,000 above Adam and Cam's budget. But they aren't the only ones that need to give it the seal of approval. Well, they're bringing Maya and Rihanna to give their casting vote on this house. On a beautiful day like today, I reckon it's a done deal.
you see the kookaburra? Wow. What sound does a kookaburra make? Look, he moved his head when you did that.
My kids would adore this house too. There's so much to do here. A real playground. If Adam and Cam are going to find a reason not to buy it, they're going to have to think pretty hard.
What do the girls think?
Yeah, they love it.
Really?
Yeah, Rihanna thinks it was fantastic.
Does she? What do you think second time round?
I still like it every bit as much as I did before. I don't know where that leaves us, but...
I know.
Yeah.
This is certainly a hard one. The owner is apparently insisting on offers over £231,000, £8,000 more than our absolute maximum. I think this house represents everything they wanted when they dreamed of a life down under, and the girls can clearly see themselves living here too. I really want to get it for them, but just don't know if I can. Time to draw up a battle plan, and the price isn't the only thing that's against us.
There was a viewing on Saturday, and they booked to come back and see the house in an hour's time, so they're seeing it tonight. From a tactical point of view, there is no point us making any big decisions, doing anything rash at this time until that viewing's happened and they've kind of shown their cards, as it were.
Yeah. Yeah.
These things come at a price. It's a very nice house. It's quite an expensive house. If it's to be, we'll get it.
This is my chance to show off some negotiating skills, but it's not looking too promising. Adam and Cam have told me how much they want the house, but I simply can't offer anything more than £223,000 for it. Remember, that's £8,000 under the asking price, and we've got a nail-biting overnight wait to see what the other couple decide to offer. The next day, Adam's back at work, so I have to break the news about their £223,000 offer to Cam alone.
Hello? Okay. Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you. Bye. Bye. Hiya. Rihanna wants to tell you something.
Daddy? You know the house that we looked at? Yes, darling. We're going to buy it. Really? Yep.
Just fantastic news, and they don't hang about.
Cheers.
2 months later, the sale's gone through, and Adam and Cam are already moved in and enjoying Melbourne's winter weather.
I get excited at the end of the day to think I'm going home. And every time we drive up to the house, I'm looking at it from fresh eyes.
Coming up, I'll find out if it's lived up to the dream.
There is a huge cultural difference between Australians and the British, and it's been a really steep learning curve.
And what about if you don't like creepy crawlies?
A tree fell down and under the log there were heaps and heaps of redbacks.
2 years ago, I was in the hills outside Melbourne helping the George family from Basingstoke. They'd left the stresses of British life behind, but making the mammoth move was just the start. It was up to me to find them the right place to settle. And just when I'd shown them their dream home, the enormity of what they were doing began to sink in.
You know, this could be it.
Well, that's good.
It's good, it's good.
Having found them the house where they wanted their new life to begin, I then had to seal the deal. It took all my negotiation skills, but finally I had some great news.
Fantastic.
Daddy, you know the house that we looked at? Yes, darling. We're going to buy it. Really? Yep.
But just days after the offer was accepted, disaster struck.
Australia is used to bushfires, but it's never seen anything like this.
In fact, Black Saturday saw the worst bushfires the state of Victoria has ever seen, destroying over 2,000 homes. Although the fires did come very close, Adam and Cam were lucky and their house survived unscathed. Now, 2 years later, I'm back and looking forward to seeing them and finding out if their new life is everything they hoped it would be.
Oh.
Nice to see you all. Is everybody okay?
Hey, Phil.
Hi,
How are you? Good to see you again.
Very well, nice
You all right?
to be here.
Well, they certainly look happy, and there's a new addition to the family.
Happy, hello.
Warm welcomes all round, but I'm keen to know if the house that stole their hearts is still every bit as special.
Tell me, what was it like when you actually took the keys and came up here?
It was wonderful.
It was great.
Yeah, it felt completely unreal, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. But at the same time, absolutely perfect.
The house itself hasn't been much maintenance.
Yeah.
You know, there have been a few bits that we've done to it. There's loads more that we could do to it. You know, it's got lots of possibilities.
Despite not needing much work, they've managed to put their own stamp on the house. With smart wooden flooring in the living room and a stunning new kitchen, it's a long way from Basingstoke. This is fantastic to see, especially as the bushfires came so close to ending their dream before it had even begun.
Remember when we were up here and it was 2 days later, wasn't it? The fires broke out that were dangerously close.
Those bushfires were just horrific. You know, it's something that you've absolutely got to respect. There's no doubt about that, and we hadn't really considered that side of things.
Did it make you stop and think about whether to proceed and buy the house?
That wasn't ever something that crossed our minds, but we knew that we needed more information. You now plan for the eventuality.
If it's an extreme fire danger day, then we just pack up and we'll go.
But despite the risks, the family haven't been put off living in the bush.
The girls seem very happy, settled.
They've settled in remarkably well. There's a bit of transition for Maya. She'd scream at the sight of a daddy long legs, and when you're living in you know this much country, it's all around you.
A tree fell down, and under the log there were heaps and heaps of redbacks. The ones that me and Faye saw were like about that big.
But having to cope with a few creepy crawlies is a small price to pay for having so much nature on your doorstep.
What you've got to tell yourself all the time is, you know, remind yourself not to kind of take it for granted. You know, like the parrots coming down in the morning, for example. You know, it's just fantastic.
So it does feel like it's a bit of the best of both worlds. Last weekend we went camping. The next week we're going to go to the beach. Rihanna goes riding, and you can do that. Or, you know, it's just far more accessible than we ever anticipated.
The key thing is that, I mean, our weekends are so much fuller. I mean, you really feel like you have a good weekend.
And moving in, settling in and meeting neighbours, and how did all that go?
Neighbours are great, really friendly. They've made us really welcome.
It doesn't hurt that we've also got some English friends.
Okay.
With people who are English and have done the same thing as us in terms of migration. They completely understand.
You just slotted into life. You make it sound easy.
No, it's a hard thing to do, no doubt about that. And, you know, we're very fortunate to be where we are now.
I'm really chuffed to hear Adam and Cam have settled in so well. This afternoon, they've invited some of their new friends round, and by the looks of it, the whole neighbourhood's turning up. I think it's time I put Adam's skills on the barbie to the test.
You got a proper barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
Goodness me.
An essential item for living in Australia. Got to have a proper barbecue and a beer to go with it.
Well, cheers. Very good to see you all. Really is.
Adam really seems to have made the most out of the move, and it's a world away from what he left behind.
Much as I've had a fantastic upbringing in England, and much as I've got fantastic memories of the place, I wanted something, you know, different for my daughters to grow up in. And this is pretty much it. I wouldn't want anyone to think that it's a smooth ride.
It's not a walk in the park.
No, it's not. It's not. You've got to work hard at it.
Are you able now to call this home? To see it?
Yes. This is our home. This is where I want to be. This is where I can see us being for, you know, a long time to come.
It's great to hear him calling this home, but the reality is they didn't find the move easy. My Aussie wife Fiona did it in the opposite direction, and I know how difficult it can be.
Adam recognises that it hasn't been a walk in the park, but it's actually worked out incredibly well.
I think the whole transition has actually
is really difficult on a relationship, and we were really fortunate because we had a strong relationship to begin with. I think in a lot of cases when people are migrating out here, there's one person who leads. And, you know, for us, Adam did that.
Has it brought you closer together as a family?
I mean, we have had our ups and downs. The fortunate thing is that one of us has been up when the other one has been down. Yeah. We've had a fantastic network of people, and I can't tell you how much that's made a difference, because it does.
For somebody thinking about making the move, have you got any particular tips?
I think a lot of it is about not underestimating the amount of work that it entails. You know, Australians are really, really welcoming, but there is a huge cultural difference between Australians and the British, and it's been a really steep learning curve, and I've absolutely loved it, because, and you hear this from people all the time, that you don't really understand a country until you live there.
And by the looks of it, the whole family's well on the way to understanding what it means to be true blue Aussies.
It's been fantastic for me coming back to see them all and hearing how much they love the house. But I think the real sentiment about today is that moving anywhere, let alone Australia, making a new life for yourself, takes a lot of dedication and hard work. And that's what they've done, and this is the reward for all of that. So it's a great success. It's very happy days here.
Next week, I'm revisiting the Davidsons from Essex, who moved to Perth to get a better work-life balance, and I'll discover it hasn't been easy.
It can be really tough to start with.
But there's a secret to making it work.
Fake it till you make it. Just keep smiling until you make it.
Simon Bird from The In-Betweeners and Tamsin Gregg. They're in brand new comedy Friday Night Dinner at 10. But coming up, Dr. Dawn's doing pregnancy problems, embarrassing bodies.